Hey guys, this is Zach with Team Covenant, and I am here to talk about, of course, Netrunner. Just kidding. Star Wars LCG, one of my favorite games of all time. And I've had a lot of really interesting conversations about resources lately with some fantastic players here locally in Tulsa. And there's some really interesting things I didn't know. And I just wanted to kind of open up that discussion and share it with you because you're watching this. And just get it out there, because it's even some comments I've made on some of our latest unboxings that I want to kind of amend a little bit, just because cards are better than I expected them to be. So the scenario that happened to me the other day was I drew my opening hand, and I had a 1 resource card, obviously it's limited, and a 2 resource card that was limited. And it was the first time, this is funny, I don't want to admit it, but it's literally the first time I've ever had to compare the two completely, where I just literally had to decide, do I play the 1 or do I play the 2? And the result I got to was interesting to me, because I naturally want to just think, oh, the 2's better, because then it's going to open me up to 6 resources at some point. But in that moment, I ended up deciding that the 1 resource was better, and it was because you play the 1 resource and then you spend the 1 resource, so you're even. You've made your money back, so to speak. But the important part is that the next turn, it starts profiting you. A fascinating part of Star Wars is it can be so short. Literally 3 to 6 turns is like the average game. So a 2, if you play the 2 resource, yes, it nets itself on the first turn. But typically on the next turn, you're not going to get to spend anything on it because it's going to be double focused. So it takes 2 turns for it to make you anything. And obviously it makes you 2. But in a game of 5 turns, you may get to use that once or twice. And that's if it doesn't get destroyed, tactics down, and maybe you draw into a hand that doesn't need it. So the 1 to me was just so much more versatile that I actually ended up discarding the 2 to draw up, played the 1, and went from there. This got me thinking, and there are other cards that are really good. Obviously, one of those is the Sith Holocron. It's a resource card, came out, it's 0 for 3, it's limited, and just to kind of give an example of how good that resource is, it's a 0 that immediately nets you 3. So a 1-cost resource, turn 1 pays back, turn 2 is net 1, turn 3 is net 2, turn 3 is net 3. So it literally takes 4 turns, the turn you play it plus 3 more, for you to be on the same level as playing a Sith Holocron. And that's why that card is so important. And that's why it's really hard for me not to run 2 Executors, even though I don't want 2 Executors in my deck. But the card I really want to get to that's similar, and I said it was kind of a notch below it in the unboxing, is Payout, which is a Scum card. And it's a 1-cost Scum that lets you remove a focus from all of your Scum objectives. And when you initially think about this, you play it, you pay 1 on an objective, and you can remove the focus. So it nets you 2. You pay 1, you get 3 back, that's a net of 2. But the more I thought about it, especially after considering the 1 and 2 resource scenario, the better it actually became. So I was always working under the assumption that I would have, just like this scenario, 3 1 resource objectives in play. But what happened is I had a game where I actually had 2 resource objectives in play. And typically one of the penalties of spending all of the resources, so like right here I have 6 resources on the board, is that this turn I spend 6. Next turn these 2 are going to be locked down. So I'm only going to get to spend 2, which is 8, which would technically be the same thing as spending 4 on one turn and 4 on the next. Then we introduce a card called Payout, which is fantastic. We knew it net us 2, but in this scenario I could literally spend 6, and then on the next turn, when I would only normally get to spend 2, I can pay 1 on this resource, remove a focus from all 3 of these, and all of a sudden I get to spend 6 again. So it's taking me from 8 resources in 2 turns to 12, which is 4 resources, making it even more impressive than a Sith Holocron. Obviously, there's the contingency that you're going to have 2 resources up. But even with just 1, you're going to net 3, which is the exact same thing as a Holocron, and it gives you access to a 2 resource when otherwise you wouldn't have had it. So Payout, a huge card for Scum. They needed the resource. It lets them do all the fun stuff they do, which is capturing the crazy shenanigans, and still play units, which is really important. So as this game moves forward, as we get more and more different style of resources, like the 2 resource cards that remove focus when you win a force struggle, I just highly recommend evaluating on a constant basis resources, how you're getting ahead in this game. In a game of 4 or 5 turns, every single resource counts, and early resources are so much more important than late resources. So keep an eye on the resources. The cards let you get more resources, and I'll catch you next time when I'm talking more about Star Wars.